Disclaimer. The content presented in this show is intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of any individuals or organizations mentioned. Statements made about public figures or entities are based on publicly available information and are not intended to harm or defame any person or business. This show relies on fair use of social media posts, which are presented in good faith for the purpose of commentary and criticism. Viewers and listeners are advised to form their own opinions. Circle back here on the Circles Off channel. It's part of the Hammerbag Network and presented by Kalshi. This is the show where we cover the latest and trending stories from gambling Twitter. We do so live on Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and pre-recorded at 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Fridays. We're doing something a little bit special for this Monday as well, because not only are we streaming to YouTube, but we're also streaming to Twitter. And everything runs smoothly while we start expanding Circles Off to more platforms. So to show your support wherever you are watching, or maybe you're listening in audio form, just make sure you support us by hitting that like button, rating, reviewing 5 stars. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. We're very, very close to 21,000 subs. We want to keep on pushing this channel forward. I am your host, Jacob Gramegna, here on Circle Back. I am joined by the CEO of the Hammerbag Network, Rob Pizzola. Also, I'm joined by seasoned NBA bettor and WNBA bettor, Kirk Evans, and also Jay's superfan, Geoff Fienberg, enjoying the World Series. I like the hoodie. How you feeling ahead of Game 3 tonight?
I'm nervous. I always expect the worst, but what's the date? October 28th?
I don't even know. I couldn't tell you what day it is today. It's
It's the 27th.
Halloween's what?
The line could have been smoother, but it's October 27th. The
Yep.
Blue Jays play baseball tonight.
It's
Pretty
amazing.
Blessed feeling.
You've had quite the week and a half, I would say. You were away. You watched Daniel Jones obliterate your Chargers, and then you skipped the Thursday night game, which would have been the redemption story because you flew home to attend the World Series. Probably a good move though, because you saw Game 1.
I didn't go to San Diego because I had that trip booked before the schedule.
Got it. So it just worked out that way, where there's 2
worked
home
out.
games.
Yeah, in 4 days. And I got to see I actually decided to go to the worst game of the Harbaugh era.
Yeah. Did you take your nephew?
He was here. No. And so I didn't get him. The only regret about not going to Thursday is because they wore the navies and there would have been exclusive merch.
I
I
know.
promised I would get him some of that merch. But I didn't even get there to get me some of the merch. Because when I was there on the Sunday where they got their ass kicked versus the Colts, none of the Navy merch was out. So that was really my...
Uncle Geoff just full of disappointments for this poor kid.
I'll just make it up in other ways.
His 2 favorite teams were playing. You never took him to that game. Then you promised him some exclusive merch. You never brought back the merch. I wonder what the excuse is going to be next year for this kid, Geoff.
I am good to this kid, so don't listen to Rob's propaganda.
All right, we will jump into the topics for today, starting off with, we didn't have a Friday show to talk about this, but we'll touch on it here. The gambling scandal that is taking over NBA media at the moment, involving Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups, and others. Now, it's been quite a few days now, so you probably know everything there is to know about the scandal in particular, but I wanted to touch on in the show today the repercussions that we could see from this scandal if it could actually be the end of player prop betting, if we could just take away these markets altogether. Chuck Todd, who does political talk, I think, on a podcast, that's what I gathered from his platform, he said, simple solution to the gambling anxiety the leagues are feeling this morning. Ask your gaming partners to ban player props. Ryan Butler at Butler Bets responded by saying, not even a hot take here, but Congress is not going to ban prop bets, let alone sports books entirely, mostly because they can't even pass the gambling loss deduction bill that pretty much everyone in D.C. agrees is a good idea. I want to start with you on this one, Rob. Do you feel like this scandal could be something that does at least start the dominoes to fall in that direction where we could see the end of player prop betting?
No, I don't. I think this is the classic outsider solution to the problem at hand here, which is like, well, if they're betting on player props and that's where the fixing is happening, like just remove these from the equation and we're all good to go. There's no like giant off button when it comes to stuff in sports betting here, right? Like the reality is, let's just say the regulated markets decided to say, no, we're not taking action on player props anymore. This would be by far a massive opportunity for now the offshore industry, where they would just jump in, offer as big a following as or offering as possible. You'd have prediction markets who are already starting with props really accelerate the offering there. Like there's just no turning off of player props. That's just not going to happen. It's not a realistic scenario. I get why maybe from the outside looking in it might seem that easy, but if you take this from the perspective of the people who are like quote unquote fixing the outcomes of these games, whether it's the players, coaches, releasing information, there's a group behind these that are betting it, right? Like it's syndicates, fixing groups. You take player props out of the equation and regulated books. These guys are not going to just put their arms up in the air and be like, you know what? That was fun. I guess we're going to move on to gardening now. Like, let's find another hobby. They're going to figure out a way to try to enforce this and make it happen. The solutions come, I mean, in many, many different waves potentially here. Should we have the extensive offering of player props we have now? Maybe there's a debate there in terms of like, can we possibly scale this back a little bit? But remember, regulated books make this easier to catch. Creates opportunity, but also creates opportunity to get caught as well. And I mean, what Chuck is proposing here, like ask your gambling partners to ban player props. He also is forgetting that this is the on-ramp for so many of the gamblers nowadays. Like think about bettors nowadays and what they're gravitating to. It is player props. So they're not going to ask gaming partners to ban player props because of some, alleged match fixing in the NBA. It's not happening.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just not going to happen. Like if you look at the who would push for this? The NBA or the sports leagues obviously aren't going to push for banning player props. Obviously, the sports books aren't going to push for banning player props. So, like, I don't really see who's going to be the one, like, pushing the government to do this. And also, like, the sports books without player props, like, player props are kind of, like, the key part to the SGP. And the SGP is how these companies make money. So, yeah, that's just not going to happen. But, yeah, the whole situation is very unfortunate. I think in the light of day, now having some time out, you look at the situation and you kind of think like that could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
Like the real kind of big part of the story to me is like the Chauncey Billups poker thing. I don't really like the rest of it is obviously bad. I'm not trying to say it's not bad, but it could have been a lot worse. So yeah, we'll see. It's just like every few months it feels like we have one of these stories, which really sucks. But yeah, they're not going to ban player props.
Geoff, any thoughts from you on this one?
The only success stories in all of this live in the shadows, like you guys and your associates.
Sure.
But everything that's forward-facing is just bad news after bad news after bad news. In terms of this gambling,
I just want to say I don't want to be looped into that. Like I've never come across anyone.
No, I mean professional bet, like as someone who makes like a good living off of gambling, but you don't want to like. I'm just like
for regular people, betting is obviously bad, but also the reason that this is happening isn't because people win money betting. It's
I'm not saying it are. I'm saying
sites make money.
This is just one of like many forward-facing things that are negative.
Yeah,
agreed.
And the only things that are positive, like the life and fun things that you guys get to do and buy, and other people who are probably watching the show, they don't really want to be forward-facing with it because they don't want certain exposures because it could only, whatever. It's more negative. But from this to like the epidemic on college campuses to that now hitting elementary or like high schools with like 16-year-olds, and even my sister wanting me to talk to my 13-year-old nephew because he wants a gambling account now. And me just being like, you just tell me what you bet. Like I got running sheet, $10, me versus you, every time. Whatever you want, any side you want of it, fine. So there's like a real problem. That's the reality of it. And I would say to this specifically, I would have no issue. And I think you could save the SGPs. Everyone is limited. Like, I know the limits are probably lower than like your standard bets.
Right.
Everything is like even more hyper limited. You want to bet a prop, it's like truly like a circus game. Like, there's fun, like a little bit, but there's no like even chance to get 6 accounts to make it work.
Right.
Like, it still would just be like 500 total. But you can still make SGPs. If you want to make like a 6-game prop where you need like 6 legs of these things to happen, then sure, go ahead. I don't think you can have to kill the SGPs either. You could still say like, sure, like test your luck at like having 6 of these things happen. But if you just want to bet one of them, like, sorry, man, like everyone has sort of got a limited go number, not just proven accounts.
I'm not going to disagree with you that, like, if you want to make the argument that legalizing sports betting has just been a
net negative,
even like worse than net negative, like really bad, I'm totally not going to disagree with you. Like, I think there's a balance of like, you do want to let people do, what they want, but also like, obviously, now looking back, there's been a lot of bad. I'm totally going to agree with you there. And I think that point of the limiting isn't like, I think it's a very reasonable take, but at the end of the day, I think the way these sportsbooks make money is these big bets, and sportsbooks aren't gonna be willing to go from a $10 billion company to a $500 million company. So I don't see how it's gonna happen. But
it all needs to exist in the same way. At least here, like cigarettes exist, or like the commercials.
Yeah,
they have their commercials, and they'll do their like these. I don't want to name the books. I don't remember who's a sponsor, was a sponsor, will be a sponsor. But it's like now their commercials are like, oh, I've got these like safety protocols. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty much just advertising. Like, once you get the shit knocked out of you,
you can set
we're
limits.
here to take care of you.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, you don't have to zoom out far to realize like how egregious even these commercials, how it's like one buddy bragging to the other, showing them how to like keep a tab on himself. It's like, okay, so after you've totally flipped your fucking car, this is what you can do, pal. But it's like, if you want to buy, like the commercials where it's like doing drugs is like doing this to your brain. And it's like a frying pan and just smacking the shit out of something. Like, I'm just saying, if they want to have it, then there's got to be the other side of it. At least like that we've seen with other things that, everyone's got the right to make their own decisions, but probably aren't, net positives.
So I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I just think in reality, there's too many like logistical issues with, so use your SGP example, right? Let's just say every regulated recreational sportsbook was required to cap SGPs at X amount of risk or X amount of payout. Let's say you can't pay out more than 50-1, things of that nature.
I didn't say that though.
But along the lines of that, you're saying
no,
that.
I said that like prop bets, you can make a prop, you can still keep prop bets in SGPs because if you're gonna like try to hit 6 of them, go like have one rigged. Go have 2 legs of like like I'm just saying that's what I mean. But like the single-legged the single leg prop, single bet, I think should just all be limited.
All of them should be limited.
Yeah.
Right. But
even more so than they already are.
So the problem is that in sports betting, the gray market and black market is so large, right? Like regulated markets have grabbed a lot of market share, but lots of people are still betting offshore through their local bookies. I mean, like we do this stuff as well, right? The reality is as soon as you start imposing those types of limits on the regulated market, what ends up happening is everyone else views it as an opportunity to offer what the regulated market can't. And then people find their way over there. And that becomes just as dangerous in a sense as having people bet through that. I mean, personally, when I see stuff like this, the leagues are in bed with the sports books. From a league standpoint, how can they not police this better? How can the NBA not have clauses in contracts where, let's say money is, their contracts are completely void, Like Terry Rozier's getting paid out right now.
It's insane.
He's getting paid out while an investigation like at what point can we I'm not a legal expert. I'm just trying to contribute to the conversation in terms of ideas. But you get caught for gambling and giving out inside information, guess what? Your entire contract should be void, and the amount that you earned while that was going on should have to be paid back to the league as well. Like, how can we not put better enforcement?
So what is like the perfect middle then?
The leagues have to get super aggressive with this. Insanely aggressive to the point where it doesn't even feel fair, the punishments that are coming down on the players. Because if you can scare enough of the players and coaches and people who are part of the teams, and they have a sense of fear that if I even leak this, I can completely be ruining my life, then it won't happen anymore.
Should players be allowed to bet on other sports? Because you could argue that we should. If you're, you should argue it should just be no.
Yeah. I think when you sign, if you're an NBA player and you're signing a contract, there should be provisions in the contract that say you are not allowed to bet on anything.
I think
Plain and simple. Yeah. You want to invest in stocks, sure, whatever. Listen, I'm sure some sort of legal team can come up with the proper provisions, but at the end of it, it's a very bad look for the league. It's a very bad look for sports betting. It gives credence to all the people who think that everything is rigged and so on. And this is just going to keep happening unless it is enforced in a way where people can't, like, literally can no longer do it because the repercussions are so big.
There's a lot of hyperbole in a lot of what's been said since this scandal.
For sure.
And even people saying that this probably won't even be the worst sports betting scandal in the next, be generous, like 24 months.
Sadly, I think that's correct. I think there might even be stuff happening now that we're not even privy to. That's going on, like, literally right now while these investigations and like these arrests have been made. It's crazy. As long as there's opportunity, people will try to cap. This has been the world forever. It's been the world forever. If there's a buck to be made, someone's going to try to figure out a way to make it. And right now, there are people who are working in organized crime, betting syndicates, whatever, that they're saying this is way too easy for us.
So who's the other guy in it? Jones, Eddie Jones.
Eddie
Jones was a Laker when we were kids. Yeah, and how many coaches or people like associated with the NFL are essentially have like Damon Jones type access? Hundreds, like thousands.
Yep.
And they could even see that story and be like,
I know.
Like I'm not saying I'm not saying they'll do it, but like that other shoulder, the devil on the shoulder is like, oh shit, that's right.
If the temptation is there, Geoff, people come along and they get excited.
I will say this, as someone who bets very frequently on the NBA, the good thing, or good in quotation marks, is that when there's a leak, as someone who's very plugged into like the lines, like you can see when someone has or thinks they have information. Like that stuff always gets out. So I was well aware that there was something going on in LA that, like, when LeBron was going to be out, Davis was going to be out,
right?
Even Kawhi sometimes, someone knew.
Just from like the way you like monitor the market.
Yeah, just like LeBron's questionable. 2 hours before it gets announced, line gets absolutely destroyed. That happens for 3 weeks straight. It's like, okay, obviously this isn't luck.
Yeah.
You know something's happening. And now that this story comes out, that's kind of confirmed, and clearly that was a part of it as well. But I can say with at least some certainty that happens every now and then. And look, maybe some people are just better at hiding the action.
Right.
But it's not something, like, you wouldn't be able to make money betting on the NBA if every injury was getting leaked before it happened. Like, you just would get absolutely destroyed. Mm-hmm. So I do think it's probably, like, some people's minds are, like, going, like, holy, how much is this happening? And I would say, from my experience looking at NBA lines, it happens for sure. Like, I even remember, this was maybe 2 years ago, Giannis, it was like Bucks someone, and then the Bucks line steamed maybe 6 points against them. And I don't even think Giannis was on the injury report. And then people started saying like, oh, Giannis is going to be out, Giannis is going to be out. And he actually ended up playing and was totally fine. So the info was wrong. But it was very clear that someone thought they had info. Yeah. But like that was notable enough that I remember that exact specific line move in that exact specific game. So like, it's not maybe quite as prevalent as people would think after hearing this story. But I do agree with you that like, yeah, it could. So many people have access to information.
I just think that from a solution point of view, asking your gaming partners to ban player like that is not a solution. No. It's just never going to happen. It's not. I mean, it might be in a perfect world, but you have to think about the world we live in now, and like the on ramp for all these sports books to getting people to bet is essentially through player props. It's not going to happen. So that to me is very unrealistic. But I think definitely the leagues have done a shitty job, and totally. It's not to say that like. Right? Like there's lots of people that have to be involved and take some blame. But at a league level, if you are going to enter these partnerships with sportsbooks, Geoff, like you have to fucking police this in a way where it's not going to come back on you. I mean, Adam Silver doing an interview on Pat McAfee the day before that these drop, like it looks like very convenient time. It's just bad looks all around. It's bad looks. Police it better from a league perspective. Plain and simple.
So they almost need, like every team has the concussion protocol neutral guy. Every team needs to like employ, like every building needs a gambling guy that's like from the league almost. Like that's almost where we are.
And there was a story today. That
I don't even know
NBA,
what that gets. Yeah. But I'm just saying like it's almost at that level of importance.
The NBA is now going to like monitor injury reporting more. And like to me, these are very related of like, there can't be the bullshit in the NBA reporting. I've told this story a bunch of times that last year, and again, it was very irrelevant in the scheme of things, and I don't think it was betting related, but Atlanta kept not putting Clint Capella on the injury report, and then he was just injured for like a month. Like he had like a month-long injury. He never got on the injury report. Like that bullshit can't happen because that like just adds to the narrative and is bad luck. Like they need to be very on top of this.
So they got to do it like how everything in tennis became like hyper watched.
I mean,
right?
Listen,
I don't know much about tennis, but
it's not going to curb everything 100%.
No, like the action, like that was almost like the first sport where like the action was like hard monitored.
Well, that and,
with like
and again,
injury rules.
There was exploitation of the rules at that point because there was a point when I was betting tennis when I was younger. If you started a match and retired, it was just paid out as a win or a loss. Like, as long as the match started, it was paid. That happened. So all of a sudden, people were starting matches, and they were retiring fairly quickly into the match. And, of course, it's just a bad sportsbook rule. So sportsbooks adjusted that. And then like there's always going to be this cat and mouse game of how do we pull one over here? How do we make a bunch of money? I'm not saying that there's a 100% solution to stopping this, but, I mean, turning a blind eye to it is probably the dumbest thing possible from a league perspective.
And that's what they've been doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. A little more on this conversation in just a second here, because there was something Rob said about how it kind of ruins the credibility of all sports when things like this goes on. But before we get there, reminder, make sure you guys have hit the like button if you've not done so already. Rate, review 5 stars in your podcast feed. It only takes you a few seconds to do, but it really does help us out. And subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, because we're streaming there for the first time, make sure you're following us there for updates on Circles Off and more content overall. But on that conversation, there was an example of some, I wouldn't say faulty, but some inconsistent injury reporting in the NFL that occurred this week. We had Jason McIntyre, who quoted something from Ian Rappaport, who said that the Ravens have now made it official Lamar Jackson is out, and they updated his status on Friday from full to limited. Jason McIntyre said Harbaugh announced Lamar practiced in full Friday, line moved, money poured in. A day later, they said, oh, he didn't practice in full, he was limited. What the hell? Now he's out. Very shady. NBA/Rozier shady here. And Pro Football Talk, said the day after the NBA landing in a gambling mess, the Ravens called and raised. How do we feel on this one, Kirk? You already mentioned talks of inconsistent injury report. Do you think something needs to be done about this?
So I think this is literally like exactly what I was just talking about in both senses. So one, I don't think that this was gambling related at all. If you looked at the Ravens line all week, the Ravens were taking steam and the line was like pretty consistently at 6.5. At least in like no one publicly had any spot where they had Lamar being out, or it didn't seem like it. But again, this is the bullshit that cannot happen, because I do believe that the Ravens did this because they think it's a slight competitive advantage to make the Bears prepare for Lamar and then it not being Lamar. Like, I think that's generally why teams do this. And I don't even think it's the Ravens' fault. It's the league's fault. The league cannot allow for this bullshit. And when it happens, they need to fucking come down very, very hard to make sure it does not happen. Like, this is exact injury reporting bullshit that just kind of has to stop in sports with where we're at with gambling.
Yeah, I mean, this is I'll call it a John Harbaugh special. For those who follow the NFL regularly, Harbaugh is very inconsistent with what he says to reporters, how he does things. I think it's almost an FU a lot of times to just the practices that are in place. But at the end of the day, the whole idea of injury reporting is so that everybody is transparent and everybody's working with the same set of information, whether it's your team, the opponent, people who are betting on sports. Everybody is supposed to have quote unquote perfect information. It's supposed to be fair for everyone. So when you have stuff like this that happens, again, I will say with 100% certainty that this had nothing to do with anything related to betting or gambling. It was just, I mean, Harbaugh being an asshole, frankly, from my perspective. But it gives credence to people like Mike Florio, who, by the way, says the Ravens called and raised, which is not possible in poker as well. It's either one or the other. So he was trying to get really clever with his tweet, but you're either calling or raising. But like Jason McIntyre, very shady, NBA Rosier shady here, like absolutely not even remotely in the same universe. And this is what we get to. This is what the space becomes. Everything turns into, oh, here we go, like another and it's kind of just tiresome to see it all. But at the end of the day, I agree with you, Kirk. Like, if you have injury reporting in place, you have to come down hard on these guys. Like, a fine is not going to do shit nowadays. It's just going to allow people to do this forever and ever. And once you get in bed with sports books, you got to police it properly, plain and simple. You cannot let people like Florio and Jason McIntyre just spout off nonsense to the public. Like, imagine thinking that this is worse. Like, Florio is and they raised as if this is somehow worse than the entire NBA betting scandal that just dropped because they reported Lamar as full practice instead of limited. But this is the point we get to in the space. Maybe people don't take these guys seriously.
No, but it's the league's fault. Like, the league has to know that if these things are happening and then this bullshit reporting is happening, that people are going to connect one with the other, even if they're not.
The league just accepts that they'll deal with both sides of it.
Yeah.
Like the ignorant comments like this and the fact of being in bed with gambling. But at the same time, you know, there's sometimes a level of gamesmanship in the NFL, and people, you know, you guys are, I don't mean you specifically, but you and like to make bets that are like more info based.
Yep.
But it's still fucking gambling, okay? Mm-hmm. Even when you got your info, even when you can celebrate getting your 3 points, and it's not a statement on CLV,
yeah.
And what that means just means, hey, guess what? You still fucking gambled. And it's possible to have an injury, to feel good, and then to just be like picking up your daughter and like tweak something. Like, and I know you're like, I'm naive. I'm just like, it's all part of it to think we're ready to go. And you know what? We're not ready to go.
Yeah.
But
that's like,
to be fair, here he practiced with the like, he was a limited practice, and they said
I got to tell you, so, and this is going to come across as like it is me patting myself on the back, but I posted this in our Discord that we have at the Hammer. If you want to join discord.gg/hammer, sorry for the plug, but it's good. On Friday, I posted right after these reports came out that I am very much questioning whether or not Lamar is going to play, because there were videos from the practice where Linderbaum, their center, was snapping to Snoop Huntley. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. This is a Friday. Why would Lamar not be taking snaps from the starting center? Why are they giving... Then after the game, after the practice, they made Huntley available to the media for questions. They did not make Lamar available. I followed the NFL forever. Right away, like, things were tingling for me. But the reality is, that's me going above and beyond because I'm betting a lot of money on these games. The reporting should be standardized. You should not have to go to these lengths to figure out who's playing in the game.
You want to bet on a guy coming off an injury. I don't need a spoon feed to you that they play again on Thursday the next week.
Bingo.
And that in the NFL, like, I'm not saying I'm not saying everything I'm saying is like how it should be.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying it's like a guy, a major player coming back from an injury who's got another game in 4 days. This is like a tried and true fucking NFL gambling lane, and something you've got to observe if you're betting on that player. And it's a player who absolutely affects the point spread. I don't know. I don't hate, like...
But from a gamesmanship perspective, Geoff, right?
I just accept that the league's going to live in both camps. They're going to take the sportsbook's money, and they're going to allow asshats like McIntyre to make these fucking comments.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
for
that's
sure.
it. That's it. They're going to have their cake, and they're going to eat it too.
But if you think about it from like let's think about it from like the Harbaugh perspective, right? Because something obviously was misreported here. So it could just be like literally they fucked up and someone made a mistake, clerical error. That's possible. I would say
Very unlikely.
It seems to me like if I had to guess, the most likely outcome, it's a combination of just being a pissy guy with the media and also potentially wanting to gain a competitive advantage, right? Not letting the other team know the entire week who's going to play, this and that. But if you're circumventing the rules to try to get, like, the league should come down hard on that every single time, right? That's kind of why the rules are in place. So,
but you got to prove it. Just like with the stuff with Addison or a coach's penalty, you got to prove that, you know, this is a team decision that didn't pop up like very late into the process.
But they misreported it.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Like
he did not fully practice.
He did not fully practice, and they listed him as a fully practiced. And then they changed it a day later, which, like, to me, if it was me, I'm not Roger Goodell, but I would come down hard. You have to come in with a suspension that somebody else around the league realizes we can't do this again. And this is, I think, generally the problem with pro sports is like it's just this pussyfooting around.
New.
Sure.
Like, still, like, you have to...
Someone's got to be made an example.
We are in, like, the ground zero floor of the leagues and the teams being partners.
No, for sure.
So these are, like, they're learning on the fly, and hopefully they move faster than governments, who we're pretty certain will not move. So to your point earlier, that it is about the leagues, they just have to get stricter and better. They have to, I guess, learn from these.
If society's, this is an extreme example, but if society's punishment for murder was you're going to get a week in prison, a lot of people will be committing murders, and they continue to do it because the punishment is not like you can kill anyone you don't like. You're going to get a week away. Yeah, lots of people are going to start doing that. But as soon as it becomes, okay, now you're getting 20 to life in prison, guess what? People don't do it anymore. That's not to say there's not exceptions to the rule. There will be. But the punishments have to deter.
We could do Bill Belichick and get 20 questionable guys.
Yeah, exactly. Belichick circa. Nobody said anything about. We all did. We kind of just all joked that, well, this is Belichick. This is what he does. He's going to list everyone as questionable. Like, it's not right, is what it comes down to. If you just let it keep happening, it's. And I'll be interested to see if anything comes back on this with the Ravens this week. But if it gets swept under the rug, it's not going to be the last time you see it. It's going to happen more and more. Other teams are going to just take that as an example and do it going forwards.
More topics to get to on this show today. Before we do, let's hear from CEO Rob about what's going on around the Hammer Betting Network today.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up on the Hammer will be Hit the Books over on YouTube with Brad Powers, Joey K. Again, it's tough promoting the show because Joey K, he's telegramming me all weekend. He's not saying the best things about some of my plays, but it is a good show. Check it out at 5 o'clock. Honestly, really, really good vibe to that one. 8 p.m. tonight is our live watch along. That's over on Forward Progress YouTube. It's myself, Jizzy J, Jason Cooper. We'll be watching Chiefs Commanders. We'll also have an eye on Blue Jays Dodgers as well, the World Series. So
Game 3.
let's call it a double watch along going on tonight over on Forward Progress.
I won't be there.
You will not be there
No,
tonight.
I forgot to tell you. I'm not
It's
coming.
okay. We got Hitman for the fourth quarter. Hitman came in on the last fourth quarter, Thursday night, fired off a bunch of winning bets. It was miraculous, the amount of winners he found in that short of a span, considering his track record on those shows.
Make sure you head to the links in the description for all of the other channels we have at the Hammer Betting Network. We don't just do the content here on Circles Off, which is lifestyle stuff. We also have NFL, college football, the Hammer for all sports with the Hammer Daily, and plenty of other stuff in the links in the description. So make sure you head over there. Now, we'll head into our next topic, which is on prediction markets. And it appears as though DraftKings wants to get themselves involved with this. DraftKings acquires Railbird to advance future growth in prediction markets. And this was a statement by Jason Robbins, the CEO and co-founder of DraftKings, saying, "We are excited about the additional opportunity that prediction markets could represent for our business. We believe that Railbird's team and platform, combined with DraftKings' scale, trusted brand, and proven expertise in mobile-first products, positions us to win in this incremental space." Rob, on this one here, show sponsored by Kalshi, prediction market that exists already. What does this do for that ecosystem of prediction markets?
Well, so this to me is big because it signifies DraftKings and potentially others to follow, like FanDuel, trying to get on a equal playing field. So for those that don't know, legalized sports betting in the U.S., you should know by now, is regulated on a state-by-state basis. The prediction markets are regulated at a federal level by the CFTC. Now, Railbird already is federally licensed by the CFTC to run an exchange for event contracts. So basically a prediction market as it stands. And for the last couple years, we've kind of seen the rec books take the stance of like, well, we're going to fight this. This is, we're publicly going to talk about how prediction markets, this should be considered betting or whatever. But now we've seen sort of a flippening where it's maybe not, we're going to fight this anymore. We're going to join in on this. And this signifies kind of like a new era where DraftKings operates as a sports book from a state-by-state level, but they also operate a prediction market as well, allows them to capitalize on the market as a whole. So this is a very big piece of news that kind of flew under the radar. I would imagine we start to see companies like FanDuel and stuff follow suit. And you know what? It makes sense. It makes a lot of logical sense. If they don't want to, challenge the legal opinions that the Kalshis and Polymarkets of the world are getting, if you can't beat them, join them type of scenario. So to me, it's logical sense, Kirk. But I just want to say, like, from my perspective, and this podcast is sponsored by Kalshi, who's been a great sponsor for us and a brand that I would highly recommend. I can't tell you how much I want to pull my hair out, what's left of my hair, the remaining hair, when I'm on Twitter on a weekly basis and people are debating what's sports betting and what's trading. And you know what? I get it. Listen, if you're getting paid by sports books or by a prediction market, you're generally going to view things from your own perspective of like what's going to benefit you the most. As a network as a whole, we monetize through both prediction market and sportsbook sponsorships. But as a bettor, I'm like, who gives a fuck whether this is trading or betting or what? All I fucking want is a lot of options for me to predict outcomes of games, bet outcomes of games, whatever. I just want the options. I don't give a fuck what it's classified as. I can't believe the amount of time that people waste arguing what's what. Just give me options. Let me find good prices. Let me find events that I never could bet on before. This is my viewpoint on the whole space. So if it goes down this path and all these companies want to get into prediction markets, they want to offer even more markets to bet on, fucking great. Let's make it happen.
You're telling me it doesn't make sense to you that if you bet on Jay's money line tonight at DraftKings, that's a bet. But if you bet on Jay's money line at DraftKings recently acquisition of Railbird, that's actually a trade.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to you.
But you know what, Kirk? Whether it makes sense to me or not, I don't give a flying fuck.
I totally agree.
I don't
with
give
you.
a shit.
I want as many betting options as possible. And honestly, if you're Polymarket, if you're Kalshi, you look at this, you're probably feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, like this is kind of them laying down the arms and saying, all right, we're going to compete with you rather than try shutting you down. So, yeah, I think what's happened with prediction markets, if you asked me a year and a half ago if DraftKings would be acquiring a CFTC regulated book to trade, I would have told you you're probably on drugs. So it's you know, it's hard to predict what's going to happen, and this is pretty wild.
Okay, so I kind of tuned out a bit because I got some bad news on my phone, but it's all a scam.
Are you good, by the way?
Yeah,
everything good?
Yeah, it's all a scam. All of it. Like DraftKings and how they would say what prediction markets would be the exact same language as DraftKings would use towards like their daily fantasy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, that's not gambling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's the
You
same
know
thing.
what?
Yeah.
I've been
It's come
gambling
back and
since
bit them in the ass.
I've been gambling since I was like 10 years old. I know when I'm gambling. I know there's an element to skill to like poker and to daily fantasy, but there's a feeling I know when I'm gambling, when I'm setting a lineup in DraftKings, I feel like I'm gambling. I know I'm gambling.
Right. When you buy a stock, though, Geoff, and you check the ticker price, do you get the same rush? Does it feel like a gamble to you?
No, not really, because it's more long term. It's not like ending in 3 hours or
binary.
4 days or 6 months,
Yep.
like a
Got it.
future or a golf tournament,
Yeah.
or something. I do think we are experiencing one of the worst points of human history, though, when you can like your prediction markets and ability to bet are like sitting in the same portfolio area as your your nest egg or certain savings. I just
Yes, that's
or you're
scary.
like your good stocks and you could just move A to B. I think history will look back at that as like we'll be laughed at for a lot of reasons for what's probably going on today. No more so than that.
I will say that's a really, really good point because DraftKings and FanDuel fought for years about the DFS side of things, where they're like, no, this isn't gambling. Like this is the game of skill versus luck. Remember that? That was the conversation for years, and now it's completely flipped on them. Where other companies come out in the space and they're like, no, this isn't sports betting. This is trading. We're predicting, and it's like. What are they going to do at that point? They're going to fight it, but they fought the same battle on the opposite end for years. It's actually hilarious when you think about it from that perspective. It's like, but that's the new day and age. You argue something in court and you spend a bunch of money to validate that opinion. It can go through. Just from my perspective, I just get so tired tired of the conversation because it doesn't affect me. Like I said, all I want is a bet. I'm a bettor. I like seeing different markets. I like being able to bet in different places. So I don't give a shit. Like that Dustin Gauker account.
He has me blocked, so I can't see him.
I read that account every day, and I'm tearing up because I'm like, this guy has made it his life mission to like shit on prediction markets, especially Kalshi. And I'm like, I can't imagine spending like every waking hour of my day just like arguing whether or not this is betting or trading. Like honestly, who cares? That's where I'm at. Why is the debate as big as it is right now? That's just my whole view on it. But this is a turning point. This is DraftKings saying we're going to compete on your level now, and I think we'll see more and more acquisitions in the space as well as more people try to get involved. And that's honestly, from a betting perspective, that's exciting. When you have competition in the space and you have books or prediction markets or whatever it is, all trying to grab your dollars in some capacity, get you to bet on their platform, creates opportunity for people. So I'm looking forward to what the next year brings for sure.
And if you want to get involved with prediction markets, you can with our sponsor Kalshi by going to the link in the description or the link that's pinned to the top of the YouTube chat right now. We can clearly see that the growth of prediction markets is exponential, and we still don't really know where things are heading. This certainly comes as a bit of a surprise with DraftKings, but it shows the power of these markets, so make sure you do get involved by going to the link in the description or by simply scanning the QR code that is on screen right now if you are watching. But again, it'll be in the description at any point in the viewing or listening experience. But This allows us to head into the next segment, which is the comments from the previous week's show. We like to feature some of the comments from the previous week, so make sure you comment something down below. Could be something that you want to see on a future show. Could be something that you have an opinion on that you saw from today's show. Get involved in the comments. We like to feature 3 or so every week to really enhance the discussion. And the first comment comes from Bucket Lift, who talked about the conversation we had last week about when it goes too far was exploiting like a mistake or a poor price on a sportsbook. And he said, unless I am receiving a large paycheck, I provide zero help in improving books' pricing structure in any capacity. Bad prices are the main way to win. The more efficient the price is, the harder it is to earn. So essentially saying that like the only reason that they would try to go out of their way to alert a sportsbook if there was some mistake or something wrong is when they know that if they bet it, the bet would get canceled anyways, essentially. So this kind of spins off of the previous week's conversation a little bit, Rob, but do you have anything to add to what's being said here by Bucket Lift?
Yeah, I mean, I largely agree. I think the last point he makes when he talks about FanKings, combination of FanDuel, DraftKings, kind of is in line with what Geoff's talking about. When they stop sending people push notifications, I'll stop looking at them as subhuman. I don't necessarily look at them as subhuman, but like we've gotten to a level now of like, yeah, you know, you haven't bet on the Blue Jays yet for tonight's game. Come back, like push notification on my phone. I mean,
Domino's Pizza would annoy me if they sent me push notifications, and I love them too. So the problem isn't push notifications. That's actually the easiest fix in all of it.
Yeah. I think in terms of like I'm just not going to be a guy. Like, I don't want to say I'm never going to be a guy that alerts a book to a bad price because I have done that before for relationships that matter. But the reality is, as a bettor, you're kind of like, as someone who's trying to win, you're conditioned to look for bad prices. Yeah. So, you know, what am I going to do? I'm not going to be the good Samaritan that's, oh, this one's off market. Let me email customer support for Sports Interaction and let them know. Like
whoa, stop the clock. Yeah. Like, yes, you alerted a book for something. The sports book's your friend. The stripper's your friend. But you're doing that because you think either when they catch something nefarious I've been doing, they might go easier on me, or they might let me get through something that I caught them on next time that is in a bit of a gray area. So you are only doing it, you're alerting it because you're like, the benefit of alerting them outweighs what I will make on this bet. The stripper is not your friend.
I'll give you the exact scenario. The exact scenario was with Circa. It was with Geoff Benson. I messaged him. I said, this is wrong. The reason I did that is because, one, I consider Geoff a friend, and two, we move a lot of volume through Circa, and they give us a good bet size. So, like, I don't want to be the person. It just buys me goodwill. With that, is all. And that's a scenario where I can see it.
But you were doing a cost-benefit analysis of either trading on that info or sharing it with him.
Exactly.
And there's no such thing as getting goodwill with DraftKings. Like, that's just not,
right.
It's totally different.
Yeah. What are they going to do? They're going to increase my limits from 10 cents to 20 cents.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
what am I going to do?
And I'm not making like Circa and Stevens and Geoff out to be like the little man. But yes, when you go at DraftKings, you sort of feel like you're in Walmart. When you're at Circa with that relationship, you feel like there's a little more back and forth.
It's
with
your
like this,
mom pop.
Yeah, a little closer. I wouldn't go full mom pop, but closer to like a mom and pop vibe.
Bingo.
And that's credit to Derek and Geoff.
Of course,
their operations. They're great.
Sharps with respect. Yeah.
Next comment comes from Ricky Pucks, who says, the betting against Esteban Loaiza story reminds me of last year when I knew an NHL team had the flu, just running through half the team, but it didn't seem public, and the line was basically minus 110 each way. Largest position of the season, and it lost. Kirk, you talked about kind of injury information. Have you ever had anything similar happen to you like this?
Yeah, well, I actually tweeted about something similar in the preseason. So sports betting's a funny game. Like, you know, if you're getting a minus 110, let's say this information was unbelievable. Like, let's say it was minus 400 and it's an unbelievable bet. You know, you're still going to lose that bet 20% of the time. So it really happens. So in the preseason, Phoenix Suns, I had a quote from the coach like a week and a half earlier. Pretty much they were flying back from China and the game was really close. The preseason game was really close to the flight, so I knew that no player was going to play. The line opened at minus 2.5. Their 10 top rotation players didn't play. I think it closed 11.5. They lost by 10. You know, that happens. Sometimes you have the nuts, and you you lose.
Sometimes it also works out. Last year, Isaac Rose Berman was in town, and we grabbed breakfast, and he looked like really tired when we were grabbing breakfast. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I was out really late last night, or I got back to the hotel at 3:30. He's like, you'll never believe what I saw. I'm like, what did you see? He's like, the Sacramento Kings were just checking in when I came back. He's like, I hammered the Raptors. The game's at 1 o'clock today. Raptors fucking smoked them. Like, they got into town really late. He saw them. He's like, oh, this is a big hidden edge. And sometimes the news works in your favor. But, I mean, the news is very up or down. And you just got to think to yourself, like, this isn't factored into the line. I'll bet it. But that doesn't mean it's a guarantee it's going to win.
Totally.
And the last comment comes from the only Ty Crane, who says, a long comment, but essentially wanted to ask, what makes a sportsbook sharp? Is it when they take down markets that they're not confident in? Is it sportsbooks that move very quickly off of sharp action? What exactly signifies to you when a sportsbook is sharp, Rob?
Yeah, generally speaking, that they show the limits that they'll take, and the limits are the same for everyone. So everyone's kind of entitled to make the same amount, the same bet. Also, you will see a lot of the sharp books move first on the screen, and then a lot of the recreational books move afterwards. So that's also a sign, because people that are betting a lot of money on the games, they're not going to go and bet it at the rec book first. They're going to bet it in the sharp spot where they can get more down, and then the rest of the market follows suit. There's a lot of things. Maybe I'll do a full video on this at some point, but generally it is the limits that they're willing to take from every bettor.
And how about you, Kirk? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. Typically, a sharp book has an auto mover, profile sharp action, takes a bet from anyone, and typically their lines will be, better. They won't have as much like off-market stuff that's bad. If you're betting into them off-market, you're probably going to be losing more often. So yeah, typically stuff like that, maybe tighter lines as well.
What do you think, Geoff? What would signify to you a sharp book?
Geoff bets into all the sharp books.
No, I'm just, not to piggyback off Rob, but you could see, I know the books to bet at when the sharp guys have already got their action in, and now they're sharing a little bit of information. Right.
And the other
I know I see which books are moving and which books let me bet for 30 minutes. But I don't have a tip like they got for you.
Well, there you go. Now we can move into our next topic, which comes from Braden Henry, at Braden Henry, who says, wow, guys, CLV means so much in 2025. And there's actually a lot of conversations ongoing right now about maybe not necessarily that CLV is completely dead, but a lot of conversation I see online about CLV is mattering less than it has before. And there's very opposing takes to that, but there's people all over the board with CLV right now. Further down in this tweet, though, talked about an over-under at -3 that closed.
OU, I think it's Oklahoma University.
Sorry, Oklahoma. Yeah, I realized that was wrong. Oklahoma University -3 closed -5.5. I definitely couldn't have gotten them at a better number live. Syracuse +17.5 closed 16.5. I definitely couldn't have gotten them at a better number live. Nebraska -6.5 closed 7.5. I definitely couldn't have gotten them at a better number live. So I found this one a little bit confusing, but there seemed to be a lot of interest in talking about this one, Rob, on what is he trying to say here? Is it like to bet these numbers live instead, or what's going on?
So I saw this tweet, and it was kind of blowing up, and I went through Braden Henry's timeline, and there's a chance that this is just a shtick, where I think he believes that CLV matters, but like it could be a shtick. I don't know for sure. In these games, the opponent scored first, and then the live line was better than so let's just say he bet Nebraska -6.5. It closed -7.5. The other team scores first. He can now get them in game at like -4 or something like that. So it's like, I could have got a better number live. My friends do this all the time, and it irritates me to no end. I actually had a friend who blindly bet back towards the pregame line on everything live because he was so convinced that this was like the way to bet live. He's like, you're getting free points now because the other team scored a touchdown. It's like, no, you're getting more points because the score in the game has changed. The probability has changed. They have to account for that number. Needless to say, that didn't end up well for him. He will never try that strategy again. By the way, don't listen to anyone who talks about that. But that always gets me in the space, which is like, oh, I'm just going to wait. I'll wait for the other team to score and then I'll live bet. It's like, do you understand how the live market is built? It's built off the closing price of the game. If the other team scores a touchdown, it's very easy to just run that. And there's more VIG in the live market, so you have to pay like more to get down on it. So it doesn't make sense. I think the CLV discussion is interesting, but there's also just like a really easy way to track that. I mean, you can run error metrics on opening lines versus closing lines. You can still see the value of getting good numbers in the space. Brad Powers actually puts out the tweet every week of if you were to bet early on the games that move 3 or more points, this is your record. If you were to bet at post, this is your record. Still, I mean, it's a market. Getting a good price still matters.
I was literally about to say that everyone who tweets about CLV and how it doesn't matter as much anymore never tweets with any data. Mm-hmm. Like they never say like, oh, you know, in 2025 CLV has mattered X amount, but in 2020 it mattered. No, it's all vibes. It's all because they are on tilt because they lost a few bets. This reasoning literally makes no sense. Like just because you have CLV on a game doesn't mean that like,
the other team can't score first.
Yeah, exactly. Like things are going to happen in a game that doesn't make the CLV not valuable. If you're a sports bettor, you should care a lot about CLV. It still remains underrated. I think it's cool and trendy to say, oh, CLV doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. Mostly cope and CLV is, if it's not everything, it's nearly everything.
Yeah, like as a sophisticated square, like almost full rec, I don't care what the record is in the games with like the biggest line moves.
Right.
I've yet to be presented in all the ways you say to like how to judge someone and if they're actually capable of winning long term.
Yeah.
Of all the ways you mention of things to look at, I don't know that there's anything that I would put more weight into than beating markets. When you beat them by like touchdowns and swaths of points, then that's even more impressive, despite the end result. I get how even engagement farming or even how a straight rec can have a different opinion on it, but like to truly look into it, I've yet to be presented with a way that would help me tell if someone knows what they're doing more.
Well, I'm not putting words in your head here, but like I would imagine if you bet like a golf outright at 50-1, and then later on in the week that you can have that player at 66-1, you probably feel shitty about your bet. But if you bet 50-1 and it closes like 33, you probably feel good about that.
But you were talking about missed prices.
Sure.
All I do on Monday morning in the spring, summer, late winter is look for mispriced golfers. That's all I'm doing on Monday
Little
morning.
flop top-down approach on Mondays.
Listen, 6 points, getting 8 points on an outright golfer, it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
But I just mean like numbers that I know. I have to it has to come with me like actually thinking the guy is in the moment. It's not like everyone who moves I'm firing on. You can't middle these guys. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
But I am like looking for line errors.
Right.
Out of the gate.
And basically what you're looking for is to beat the market.
Yeah. And to fair to the books, the odds what I can get down on a Monday morning isn't what they'll give me on Wednesday morning. I mean, that's just how it works with any of it.
100%.
I'm not sure I've seen anyone with like a proven track record of winning who has like openly played against CLV.
So
I'm not sure it exists.
Listen,
I'll say that back end of it though.
What's that?
There's a new like modern breed of bettors, I will say, and I actually think this is very intelligent too. They are trying to win without getting CLV, which might seem counterintuitive to the way you think about a market, but let's say your golf approach that you're using, Geoff. You find a mispriced number, you bet it, you think it's good. They'll do the same thing. They'll just do it like 5 seconds before the game starts. That way, the book doesn't actually have a way to move the line.
That's different. Those are people who still understand CLV enough to bet it without showcasing it.
And I'm not trying to win as much on my bets as them either.
But though, again, there's not one person I've ever come across in sports betting who I would bet at plus 100 wins. Like at close, betting at post. There's not one person. I'm sure they exist, And like I've heard of people who I could imagine do.
Yeah, but you've never
But I've
encountered
never.
that.
There's not one person who I would say above 50% that I think they win at post.
I think it's if once you just understand like how the betting market works, you realize that CLV has to matter.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can sometimes there not some of these entities out there that you may or may not have taken shots at before that move lines? Would you not be sitting there at times thinking like their influence is overrated? I'm just playing against the move because not full stop every time, but you like these guys and their influence is overrated.
Right. But if he's playing back on it, he would expect the line to move back the other right. Like,
but I think you're talking. That's like more like there are specific spots where like maybe a massive group has a specific position on a team and like whatever their rating system is thinks this team is clearly really good and they keep betting it. Like, sure, in those specific spots, I could see where, like, if a group comes in with a shit ton of money and clearly moves the line, maybe some people are afraid to move it back, or maybe there's not enough money, and that specific close or, that close for a couple of weeks could be off. Like, it doesn't mean that every close
there's
is
edge
right.
cases is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in totality, it's like the people who win and the people who have money bet on these games and sharpen these lines, and like if they're wrong, people can bet against them. So just logically, it makes sense that the closing line will be very accurate. But I do agree with you. There are certainly spots where the close can be wrong and where there are opportunities to bet against it. But like I'm saying, consistently, a few games a night, every night you're betting against the close. I don't know anyone who wins like that.
You don't think like if you're finding a stale number right before an NBA game starts? For
No,
example.
but I'm not saying a stale number. I'm saying someone who's coming in on bookmaker pen.
Oh, okay. I agree with that, but I think you can beat the
You
market
could beat
right at post.
MGM by sniping a line after seeing a pin move.
And I would say to Rob, at least back in the day, I'd just pepper him with questions about how he goes about things. I'd be like, Rob, all week you talk to me about, talk to me, listen to him, or we'd have a conversation like at this number, at that price, I'd get in. And then the game's on for like 6 minutes, and there's just a big holding penalty, and then boom, that price, that line is there. I'd be like, Rob, like, would you have hit that? I'd be like, I couldn't even get enough. I wouldn't even care. Like, it's live.
Sure, that was back in the day though. Those are previous. The live markets are very different now. With the right accounts, you can get some big clicks nowadays. But yeah, it's valid.
All right. Before we go into our last full topic on the show today, let's talk a little bit more about the newsletter we have at the Hammer. Let's first go to CEO Rob before we go over to Kirk.
Yeah, if you haven't checked it out yet, we're trying to, we gauged a lot of feedback in the offseason of like what we could do better as a network to get people a little bit more informed, make their lives easier. There was a lot of stuff centered around NFL injury reporting, people saying that they just spend so much time on injuries. We've now consolidated that into one easy spot. You'll get it in your inbox every Monday and Wednesday, what's going on NFL practice reports. And in addition, you get Kirk's expertise on Friday. He's been doing a lot of NBA writing. Sometimes he'll just write about a specific topic in the space and how he feels about it. But I think it's worth checking out. You can scan on screen to sign up. We have the link in the description as well. Just if I was going to use one metric to plug this newsletter, our open rate on this newsletter is higher than 70% right now, which anyone who's ever sent out newsletters before, sometimes you're aiming for 5%. It's very valuable, and the people who are checking it out every week are finding value in it. So if you haven't, check it out, and you probably will find some value in it if you're a serious sports bettor.
All right, that's some great promo to me. Final topic, like I said, on the show. We're going back to a topic because we didn't have Geoff here on the show last week, and this is something that he wanted to bring up. But it was your tweet here. Rob, you did a video a couple weeks ago talking about, it was last week, where you talked about essentially like what qualifies as a good handicapper. What should you actually look at? Should it be their record? Should it be their analysis? It's a great video, I think, that anyone listening or watching should check out on the Circles Off channel. However, Geoff, you responded by saying nothing wrong with tracking people's picks who have regular appearances on popular wagertainment programs, but you absolutely have to track them fairly That's essential and not difficult. George uses to track them unfairly, and that's the problem. In reality, the show and the producers should be doing this anyways on public documentation. Do you want to elaborate on this one a little more for us, Geoff?
Sure. And I say this, I don't actually care, and I don't think a lot of listeners care, because you're just listening because you like the host. In the context of George and who he's attacking, I don't listen to Nick Vizin, but I'm a huge Nick Kostos fan.
Yep.
I think he's like absolutely maybe the best in the business at what he does.
Cue Mitch in the chat right now. That's going to come after you and ask where Nick Kostos' documented record is.
Okay, that's fair. But I feel like most people just listen because they like the host,
Yep.
they like the guests, they like the subject matter,
Yep.
right? Like 98% of listeners. And I am maybe spoiled in the sense, or in a position where know Nick, or know the guests, or know them firsthand or secondhand, just for like people like you or others. I've bet with this guy. Like, that guy's the real deal. I don't care if he's 5-12
Right.
on Nick's afternoon show.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm just fascinated by the topic at hand. And I speak of it from a place of experience, because in a past life, which gets further and further away, Rob and I used to do this. Mm-hmm. We used to produce a show that was pure wagertainment, with the likes of Gabe Morency and Cam Stewart, like wagertainment to the extreme. And Rob would track, not so much for the purpose of like defending them against angry listeners, but to just like, hey, Cam, you're 1-6 in the last like horse bets you've made, like tracking for like that sort of content. So I would just say, with where gambling is now in 2025, I don't think it's bad for the show that I consider, at least in my opinion, like the preeminent wagertainment show in the space, to just have a tracking, like an intern or a producer, just a publicly available doc of like the bets of the regular guests. That's something Rob was, I don't think he's doing it for public consumption. He was almost doing it for his, or to have
honestly,
one-liners back at the host. Like, but it's just an easy thing to do that can almost just like end anyone on the internet's nefarious calculations. Now, don't get me wrong. If any of those guys who are regulars on Nick's show or any of these shows are getting their ass beat in something like the NFL, they do not give a fuck that somebody, it doesn't matter who they are on the internet, is making fun of them. That is like a 10th rail concern to the actual money you are losing. So I don't even think these people like care, but I'm just there. That is my take on all of it.
I'm glad you brought that up. So that was from 2012 when I was the producer. I went to Gabe and Cam, who were my hosts, and I said, I'm going to track everything going forwards, and we're going to put your records on screen whenever you guys are giving out picks at the end of the show. And I remember Gabe saying, yeah, I like the good idea. And Cam, he was a little more, he's like, well, what if we lose? It's going to make us look like losers. And I was like, no, it's not. It's just going to make you look like a regular guy. Like, no one's going to give a shit. Like, literally, people are watching because you're entertaining and they're watching for you. No one's going to care, but at least there's some level of transparency here, and people can decide whether they want to tail your picks or not. And we can have some fun with it. I mean, if you have a long losing streak, we can joke about it. Like, let's just be real bettors. And they went for that. And we did that for several years. Nowadays, we do this at the Hammer. All the picks we give out, we track on BetStamp, verified plays. It's challenging. We probably get, like, I want to say upwards of 95% in there. Some of the SGPs we can't track. There's still some things that we can't. But for the most part, people have a generally a good idea of how each show's producing. The real problem is, I like where your heart is at. I really do.
I also don't think it matters.
I honestly, like, Nick is a friend of mine, so I don't want this to come across like I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt versus someone else who might be in the same position who's not. When I listen to You Better You Bet for years, Nick will never, ever portray himself as a betting expert. Ever. People who listen to that show know what they're getting into. If they want to ride with him, they do. So there's a level where it could potentially be overkill. You also then get into the problems of, like, when we first launched BetStamp, we started doing tracking exactly like GRP was, of people who appeared on shows, and we're going to track them in the app. What an absolute fucking headache 90% of the people, you're not tracking this properly. I wanted X amount of units on this game and not on this game. How are you tracking this number? I gave it out at 3.5. You tracked it at 3. There's no 3.5 in market when you said there was 3.5. So we tracked it at 3. Like, but it in principle, it's actually really, really hard to track accurate. Like, where do we go with the leans? When someone's like, I lean under in this game, I'm not betting it. Do you put that on a tracker? GRP does.
No.
Other people, yeah, like this. But I'm saying
No.
there's no like universal enforcement.
But that's the other part of it. When you go on a show and there's like the game of the week, it's Bills Chiefs. You don't have an opinion, but you go on the show. There's like a social contract I've accepted.
Yes.
I've accepted my guest appearance on your show to talk ball. Yes, I've provided the host or producer the 3 picks that I love the most.
Yeah.
But it is totally fair game to ask me about this pick because you model games, you could say it. You're a ball watcher. You're watching tape again the next morning. Like, it is just totally fair to be like, Rob, okay, take the model out of it. Like, who does like ball watcher Pizzola think? Because the worst thing in the world, the thing I hate anytime I listen to any of these shows, is when someone comes on and they're asked about a big game
And they don't have
and they're just like, and and I seen someone do this about the Super Bowl, and boy, did that ruffle me. Because there's a social contract.
You had like a 1-year vendetta against this person.
We're good. But there's like a social contract when you go on these shows to sort of also give that, because to a lot of us Rex, Kirk Evans, Rob Pizzola's lean on something is more valuable to us than like our own lean.
Well, and that
whether you want to share it or not.
But that was the whole point of this video. If you want to check it out, it's on the Circles Off YouTube channel. I think it's worth watching. Again, I think everything I make is worth watching, so maybe that's a bad sell. But check it out. And this was why I was talking about how like I lean on the analysis more than the pick itself, because good analysis is like rooted in like how the market works, so to speak. Like, Nick will ask me, right? He'll be like, New England, Cleveland, what are we doing with this game? And it's like, I got nothing on this game right now, but here's my raw number. And if the number moves to this, I would potentially be considering playing it at this specific number for X, Y, Z reasons, right? And at some point in the week, New England does move to that number at a few books. Maybe some people can bet it and they get it and get some value out of it. Maybe they don't, or whatever. But I think we are too hyper fixated right now on win-loss records. And it's so easy for someone to make guest appearances for an entire NFL season and put together a great NFL season and really not have a fucking clue what they're talking about, or vice versa. Someone who actually really knows. Like, I used to listen, and I still do listen to a lot of betting stuff in the space, not for the pick at all. I just want to be aware of how other people are handicapping games, and if there's a new metric I'm missing, if there's a specific way that they're looking at a game that I haven't thought about before. To me, that's more valuable. To the average person, maybe not. They just want a pick to be given. But there's a hyper focus now on win-loss, and I feel like when we get to the point where everyone is transparently tracked, you then get the bad actors who are just like parading around the record from this year like it means something. And that's also pretty dangerous, I would say.
Yeah. I feel like the only thing I've got here is that if you present yourself as like a true expert and you're giving picks, I think those should be tracked. If it's like truly like entertainment and no one actually thinks, I think it can be fun to track. I do agree with you, but I don't think it's like necessary.
I was talking more about the regular guests who are the pros.
Yeah.
More so
So
than
then to me, those should be
more
tracked.
so than Nick, who, and again, we'll get out of here on this. Like, knowing Nick firsthand, like, that show is his life.
Yeah.
Like, everything that George says these people are that Nick's having on as regulars, they are not. Nick would never bring like an empty talking fancy talker on, like an empty words fancy talker on. Nick would never put that on the show. It's his life. It's like it's his child,
Yes.
and then his show.
But you know what?
So like that is
there's a little bit. The difference is, I think right now, I understand where you're coming from. I don't think incentives are aligned just yet in this. So Nick's show is on BetMGM network. What do they ultimately want as the goal of that show? Probably for people just to give out picks
Just
and get them
listeners and picks and get people to gamble.
But like the incentives aren't there to track these people, especially if they're going to lose. You're having them on the show regularly. The end goal being to get them into the sport. You know what I'm getting? I'm not dismissing what you're saying. I think there's a lot of positive to it.
Rob, you go on a show and you give a pick, and then like you end up betting like 5x on you have that bet that you gave on the show, and then there's a game that by the time the games come around, you have so much more on.
Yeah.
Obviously, the money is important, but like that other bet that you gave on the show, you're like, oh, I gave that on the show. I really,
100%.
really want that
100%.
bet. I really want that bet.
I cheer for it more than the actual big bets sometimes.
Because you feel responsible, to what you said on a public airway.
Well, I mean, I do forward progress best bets on Thursday. Thursday's limits are pretty high. Most books are 20K at that point, 30K for the sharp books. I mean, I'll be real. Like a lot of the picks I'm giving out as my triple hammer, double hammer, single hammer, there's stuff that is smaller wagers for me. They're just kind of leftovers at that point. I've already bet on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. My favorite opinions have moved. These are the ones that I think either haven't moved enough. There's like some market resistance, ones that the market didn't respect my click on them. That's what I'm giving out. It's frankly not the best. I have no choice. That's just the time of the week that it happens. That's why I do the Sunday show, so people can get my thoughts in real time on Sunday night. But that's just the nature of betting. And because of that, I know people are going to tail because it's the show that does the most views. You think I'm not aware on Sunday mornings when I do Pizza Buffet as well, as many times as I encourage people not to bet on Sunday morning? What do you think people are going to bet? I'm well aware of it. I'm rooting for the stuff I give out more than my actual bets. It's actually nuts. It's nuts.
All right. Let's transition into the chopping block. Before we do, make sure if you've not done so already that you have liked the stream, liked the rate, review 5 stars in podcast forum, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff to help the channel grow, help us reach some more viewers. The chopping block is where we add on stuff that we didn't think required full-scale segments. We still wanted to touch on nonetheless. First of all, it was a bloodbath in Survivor this week. Ben Fox posted more than half of the remaining 4,210 entries eliminated in Circa's NFL Survivor contest, with the Falcons losing 33% of the total entrants and the Bengals losing 18.2% of the total entrants. Anybody in here on the wrong end of either of those?
You are?
Oh, God.
I have zero of my Circa Survivor left.
I'm done as well.
I lost last week with my remaining entries on the Steelers against the Bengals. I only have one Survivor entry left, and I had the Colts this week, but I didn't even remember that as this was happening in real time. I wish I was alive because this is the type of week that would have made it very fun. Sorry, Geoff. Was it Bengals or Falcons that did you in?
It was Falcons. We had a couple, and I was away, so I wasn't
Not as tilting.
No, it was tilting. I was just sort of. I mean, I had a chance. I agree.
You didn't speak up.
I agree.
You didn't speak up. You
but
didn't
the
care enough.
second it's happening, you're like, oh my God, I trusted these. Not the people who made the pick.
Kirk Cousins.
We all trusted the Falcons. They're almost like Chargers-esque, and like just when you think you can perfectly trust them and they won't, they did. And like the same week, all you're seeing on the internet is like how done the Dolphins are, like ready for off. Whatever, I'm done. It's fine.
Yep.
Next year,
Next
Benson,
year is another year.
more entries, more money.
Me and you,
Can't
Geoff,
wait.
we still remain zero-time contest champions.
With no journalistic integrity. Next one from Joey Knish. Boss started the meeting on a 5-minute rant on how Auburn losing cost him $160. Other guy in the group said he lost $7 on SGP. Chimed in saying I lost $30K. Team laughed, assuming I was kidding. I sat quietly after that in my own misery, knowing I wasn't. Happy Monday. Connor Allen, at Connor Allen NFL, who we featured on our Super Bowl player prop extravaganza on the Forward Progress channel. So it honestly gets uncomfortable sometimes talking to quote unquote normal people about betting who are sweating the hell out of the third leg of their 5-leg $10 parlay while you have thousands on the 4th-string wideout to have under 12.5 yards. So I resonate with these, not nearly to this degree, but I'm sure we have someone like Kirk Evans here who resonates with this a lot more.
I definitely remember I was hanging out with like a new group of people, but like I knew them, but didn't know them that well, and they knew I was a pretty big bettor, and they asked me, "What's your average bet size?" And I told them, and it just got super awkward and very uncomfortable, and I learned my lesson, and now just don't do that. But I can very much like empathize with Kanish and Connor here 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I would have nothing close to like what Kirk would have, but still to have like 500 or 1,000 on a game while other people have 10 or 20 is still feels weird. But you like leave the room and you're like, hey, listen, like that guy, I know his job and he's making a tight and he's just having the time of his life betting $45. Like, props to you, man. That seems pretty healthy. So like, yeah, like for us, it's awkward, but at the same time, like, good on you.
Oh,
like
totally.
Right? Like,
yeah, for sure. And I find it is awkward of like, if I'm like sweating bets on an NFL Sunday and I have like decent size on props, and then like I'm sweating with my friends, and then like someone will ask me like, oh, how much do you have on this? And I'll say, and they're like, oh, like I don't want to cheer for my bet. If their bet's like against me, I'm like, no, I want you to cheer for your own thing. I don't want you to cheer for me here. Like, so it can definitely get uncomfortable.
but they've also got like 3 bets, and you need like a spreadsheet.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's
yeah.
right, like,
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments or maybe the chat right now any situation you've had like this where someone was sweating, not to unit shame, but a lot less than you were sweating on a similar event, and how you feel in those certain situations. Next one we have in the chopping block is on from WAP Sports, because they put out a welcome to Sports Illustrated prop picks as they're being added to the WAP IO. Always psyched to have a Sports Illustrated part of the WAP sports betting community. Geoff, we added this one late before the show today, but it was something that you had a pretty strong opinion on. Why don't you elaborate here on your thoughts on Sports Illustrated getting involved with WAP, a site that enables pick sellers to sell picks and focus on making money from picks, from selling, and not from their actual bets.
well, what they want and what WAP I think is paying for here is exactly what is happening when most like boomers see Sports Illustrated at SI Now or Sports Fans, and they think, oh my God, Sports Illustrated. But what you need to know is the brand, the licensing, the IP of Sports Illustrated has essentially been like hoarded out. Much like I would compare it to make the most sense to like the Playboy logo.
Okay.
Like it's just a logo. It is a brand name that is like known and worth a lot, that there's just value in it. And that is what this essentially is. There's a company called Authentic Brands that owns the Sports Illustrated IP, and they've rented it out to WAP to use as some sort of brand build opportunity for WAP. So it is not how like us boomers are thinking of it as Sports Illustrated, but I guess there is still name value in that brand.
Yeah, I got to say, I saw this morning, and it's like a legacy sports journalism brand that's like going tout almost, which is, it's not the first time we've seen this, right? Like CBS has had Sportsline, their projection service, for a while now. Like, do not even get me started on that. They've hired a team of content creators who are like, oh, like, go out and bet Auburn -17. Our model says this game should be 34.5.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we're at in the industry right now. The reality is, like, I understand why it's happening. It's still frustrating. Media margins have they've shrunk. And the reality is a lot of these companies are now turning to the sports betting space because that's where the money's at. And it's really sad to see brands that I grew up and like respected that are just involved in the sports betting space now. It feels so cheap. But that's kind of the lesson for me now is like I watch ESPN, Sports Illustrated, CBS. Like these are names that I don't respect the brands. They're basically sales teams now at this point. I'm watching sales teams on TV, marketing whatever sports book, whatever picks they need to do to get by. And it's a sad reflection of what the space has become, but it's also, a lot of these sites just never pivoted in the way that like new age content companies did, and they just got left behind. So it's kind of sad. This one is, I didn't have the context that you gave, Geoff, but like Sports Illustrated appearing on WAP, that would have never been on my bingo card, man. That never would have been there.
Next one, I think we have a couple left here, comes from Ian at Broaders_BE. Says, what heinous act caused this to happen, you might ask? And it was a screenshot of an email from AK Bets about an account closure. So he said, I had 20 pounds anytime TD score on Jahan Dotson at 11-2 and 20 pounds on George Kittle at 2-1. AK were top price on both according to Odds Checker. What a joke. So AK Bets replied to this and said essentially asking two stale prices as your first bets after an absence is very silly. Can debate the don't have stale prices line, but behavior gets you closed this behavior gets you closed industry wide and always will. How do we feel on this one? What's the sentiment from you, Kirk?
That's funny that they responded.
I think that response eventually was deleted.
That doesn't shock
sorry.
me.
So there was an initial response that I think got deleted. I wasn't sure.
Got it.
This was one in the same thread, which at least had a reference of what their thought behind limiting someone or closing someone's account would be.
Yeah, that's a pretty it's pretty wild, like small amount of money and like I can't imagine those bets were that good to close the account, but like I get what AK Bets is saying as well. It was like, yeah, if your first two bets on an account are taking two stale lines, like they know that you're not the customer they want, but $20, like what, or 20 pounds, like what are we doing here?
It's kind of embarrassing all around, right? Like the guy complaining for what heinous act caused this to happen, you might ask. Like in saying it in jest, listen, the vast reality is I guess I should have more sympathy for people who get limited. It's such a tilting experience when you get limited for whatever reason. So I get it. But if you are firing bets after the market has moved, I think that's what the original tweet said that got deleted, was that he was firing them like 20 to 30 minutes after the market had already moved. First of all, the sportsbook is offering the price. Like, you got to be better about that, first and foremost. Second of all, the amount's $20. Still embarrassing. But to Kirk's point, they've recognized that this guy's a customer that in the long run is not going to be worth anything to them. And for Ian over here, you got to be better, man. Like, that's new age betting. If you give them a sniff that you're going to win in the long run and you make it too obvious, you're going to get limited, you're going to get banned. It sucks, but I think this is just like a sad reflection of the entire ecosystem as it stands right now. One of the reasons that I do like to support the prediction markets like Kalshi, because you can just go bet. The liquidity's there. Like, you ain't getting limited.
What's the point of regulation again?
I would say the real point is to generate tax revenue. What it should be is a combo of that and protecting the player as well.
This is going to sound super corny because it was really fucking annoying and it's disingenuous. So, Kirk, I'll beat you to it. But I'm in line at the grocery store and they ring up the lady in front of me with like a misprice. And now she's like screaming about consumer protections and how it has to be free. And I'm like caught up in the middle and now it's like, how am I here? Just kill me. Sorry. Sorry. I didn't want to be there anymore. But, there just has to be some level of consumer protection. The bet is small, swallow the bet. That's it. So, like, who...
Now he mentioned it in pounds.
This is in the UK.
This is in the UK, and they are way more restrictive in the UK than even in the US or Canada, I will say. So this is...
So they've got the tax dollars. Like I said before, I gave a bit of benefit of the doubt that it's still like in its infancy stage. At some point, like some levels of consumer protections have to be on the horizon, but who could trust that they'll actually do it?
Nobody can trust that they'll do it.
And the last thing we have here is of you, Geoff, courtesy of Pat Mayo at the PME, said periodically filming Geoff without his knowledge, and has a video of you during World Series. You were at Game 1, was it?
1 and 2.
1 and 2?
This is 2, no?
This is from Game 2. Yeah.
Right. This is
It's
from Game 2.
I was at Game 2. I wasn't at Game 1.
And you showcased your tickets just above the dugout, which gave him the ability to find you and take videos of you. And Matt Silverman says you should have brought a hashtag circle back sign presented by the Hammer for a worldwide audience. I did notice at the game, in Game 2 behind home plate, there was someone dressed up as Colonel Sanders. Did you guys notice that as well?
I did. He was sitting right in front of George St. Pierre. Directly in front of GSP.
It is like funny how like right behind the plate is like a circus of characters. I will say, good catch by Pat. He filmed me.
I saw the video.
I'm looking
you were
like,
fiddling for something
I'm
under your seat.
frantically like
You're like
looking,
putting your jacket away or something.
embarrassingly looking for my vape.
Oh.
Couldn't find.
During an at-bat?
Was
I
it
don't
was it
know
the
where
Jays
we
that
were.
ripped one to the
Listen.
warning track? Or was it
I don't fall for warning
There-
track.
well,
I am an expert in this building.
So I screenshotted it here. There was a guy beside him cheering, so it looked like it was I guess it could have been a Dodgers player flying out. But
Yeah, no, this is what happens. I'm so into this. It's 27 outs. The only out that matters is the next out. The second I identify the fly ball. Like I'm letting the outfielder know this is the can of corn. I'm beside him. I'm helping him track it, so to say. I'm not reacting to anything being gone. This is my home stadium. I sit, not usually this good. It was lovely. A lifetime friend took me to the game. Quite a gesture. Blessed. But I know how balls go in that ballpark. I was not fooled by warning track power. I'm identifying, and when the outfielder's getting under the ball to make the out, like I'm celebrating already. One of the precious 27 are being taken
you're
off the
clapping
board.
while it's on the way. I do the same thing.
That is what's happening here. That is what's being misinterpreted from someone who can't see the outfielder with his hotel view.
Yeah, he's in the hotel.
Which seemed like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
To just be able to experience the game with like 10 other buddies, maybe have a little debauchery, who knows what could or couldn't be happening, is fun. Obviously, I wouldn't trade, but that does seem fun to like do that as well.
If I came up to you and I said, Geoff, I know you're sitting first row behind the dugout. I got this green Hammer sweater I need you to wear to the game. What would you have said to me in that moment? Because Zilbert's making this seem like this is a foregone conclusion. You should have worn some of our swag. I feel like you wouldn't do that. You'd be like,
I think if you sent him to the game and you asked, it'd be
Yeah,
different.
sure.
If he's going
That's
to enjoy
different.
the World Series, like that's how
Yeah,
I would
no.
feel.
Yeah, that would be an
Zilbert-
unreasonable ask unless you said
even though it's my own brand, I still wouldn't be caught dead wearing like non-Blue Jays stuff at a Blue Jays.
What about
park.
that guy in the Marlins jersey who was that game
Marlins
one?
man.
Marlins man?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the idiot that wore a Blue Jays Ohtani jersey around Toronto this weekend?
that was you.
That was
No,
Jason.
it does.
Hear me out. Jason, I don't know if we're getting to it, but Jason pranked me this past week. So he had some questions for me about Jason would just be like, was looking for some advice from me, and I'd answer the question and be like, but you don't know if I'm pranking you or not. Like if I'm
trying to get
intentionally
retaliation against him. Geoff joined our Thursday night football watch along when he was still in San Diego, and he was having a good time out on the deck or the patio.
I only joined them for halftime.
He didn't have a TV.
So I didn't have
the
the TV in front. It's only like 5 o'clock. It's earlier there, so I can't be inside. I joined them for halftime, having a little Cutwater, a smoke, and the third quarter starts. And the first couple plays are very effective, like 8-yard runs, 7-yard runs. So I'm like, okay, I'm not moving. I need you guys to now give me play-by-play.
We're delivering play-by-play to him of the game.
And I never am not watching. But now I'm not. So I put my life sort of in their hands and.
Me and Jason pretended that Justin Herbert was down on the field. And I think we sold it pretty well. We're like, oh no. Jason's like, I don't want to see that replay again or something like that.
Oh, that's good. That's
Moretto
really
is so
good. He did a
confused
good
because
job.
Moretto's on the stream. He has no idea what's going on. I was hoping he would clue in, and then I think he did. He's like, well, how are you guys so far ahead of me? I'm like, fuck, Moretto, don't give it away. But eventually,
It's really as mean.
That's horrific.
It's really
Frank.
mean.
That really
Like, it was
is.
really mean. And I would say credit to them because they got me. Like, in the end, it was fine and they got me.
yeah.
But I know I'm just like in my own brain. I'm like, that took a lot of guts for them to do that to me.
It's a good prank.
Like, that took a lot of guts.
It's the second best prank we've ever done, I will say. The first best prank we've ever done during a live watch along, which I'd love to do again at some point on someone else. But it was on Hitman, where we all pretend that we froze. So I was talking, and mid-sentence and everyone did. Me, Jason, and Hitman thought he was in there alone, and he just had no idea what to do. He was panicking so hard, and he just like, hello, Rob, just live on air, and then he just dropped out. And I said to him afterwards, I'm like, you're supposed to like take the show and run with it, man. You don't just leave after that happens. He dropped out. We did it 2 times to him in the same night, and he's like, fuck this, I'm out, or whatever. But that was a good one. That
No,
was a
Hitman, it's in case of emergency. You got to keep the show on.
Sometimes in those blowout games, you just gotta do what you gotta do. You know, maybe we'll just have a live firing of Kirk on air next time the Vikings lose. You know, we'll dedicate that one to Beak. Be like, it's it.
Some
Beak
people
wants me fired. bad.
Some people can only handle the guest job, but some people, they can handle the hosting job. And I can handle it every Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and then Fridays, 8 a.m. Eastern time, right here on Circle Back on the Circles Off channel. Make sure you are subscribed if you are new to keep up to date with the 2 Circle Back episodes a week and the bonus Wednesday videos that we have dropping all the time as well. Some great information in those videos as well you do not want to miss out on. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We will see you again next time.